Welcome, everyone, to the Missions Connect Deep Dive. We are so incredibly glad you are here with us today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for tuning in.
So just to set the stage right away, this deep dive is really a tool. It's designed to prepare your mind and, your heart for the content you're going to interact with this following week in the Missions Connect app.
Right. And if you've been using the app, you know we focus heavily on what are called mega frontier groups.
Exactly. The absolute most unreached and the most strategic people groups on the planet, basically.
The places where the gospel has, honestly, virtually no footprint yet.
Yeah. And our mission today is to unpack the weekly preview. Specifically, we're looking at week 24, which covers June 8th through the 14th, 2026. And everything we do here, everything we talk about is driven by the show's tagline, which is blessing the nations through prayer, knowledge, and obedience.
That really is the core of it all, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah.
So looking at the weekly preview for this week, what's the big picture here?
Well, the overarching theme this week is titled 3 Fronts, 3 Burdens, 1 Call to Intercede.
Okay, wow.
3 fronts.
Yeah. We're going to be exploring 3 distinct but, globally massive crises. First, we've got a huge unreached population in India. Second, there's a really severe persecution crisis happening in Mali. And then third, a just deeply layered catastrophe in Eastern Congo.
Man, I mean, those can sound like just, distant statistics when you list them out like that.
They really can, yeah. But we have to remember, these represent actual people for whom Christ died. And you, as the listener, are being specifically called to step into these situations.
Right. Step in through intercession. To really understand the scope of global missions right now, I think we have to first look at just the sheer scale of the unreached.
Absolutely.
Which takes us right to our first front, the Yadav of India. And the numbers here are just wild. We are talking about 58 million Yadav people.
Yeah, it's a massive demographic. It makes them the 5th largest unreached group globally. And they are heavily concentrated in the states of Uttar Pradesh and Bihar.
Right, and just to add some context there, Bihar alone holds 47 of the world's top 100 unreached people groups.
Wait, really? 47 out of the top 100 are just in that one state?
Yes, exactly. It's incredibly dense. And yet, the Christian presence among the Yadav specifically is it's less than 0.1%.
Less than 0.1%.
Yeah.
Wow. So, obviously, there are massive barriers there.
Oh, yeah. The barriers are deeply sociological and political. You see, the Yadav caste identity is completely tied to dairy farming and historically to the worship of Krishna.
Okay.
So under India's growing Hindu nationalist movement, the cost of converting is it's incredibly steep.
Because it's all tied together.
Exactly. It leads to total family rejection, and you even lose legal protections and benefits that are, specifically tied to your caste status.
Okay, let's unpack this, because it sounds like trying to untangle a knot where pulling one string just tightens the rest, right? Like their livelihood, their religion, and their family are all just one single thread.
That's a really good way to put it. You pull one part, and the whole social fabric of their life just unravels.
So if individual conversion isolates a new believer to the point of basically total ruin, how can a breakthrough possibly happen here? How do you plant a church?
Well, that's exactly the breakthrough strategy that the weekly preview highlights. The focus isn't actually on individual converts anymore.
Oh, it's not?
No. The goal is to spark indigenous, family-level house church movements.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, so believers aren't isolated. You're basically working through the family relationships rather than trying to, work around them.
That makes so much sense. You keep that safety net intact. Well, it's incredible to see that strategy shifting. But, while the Yada are facing this immense cultural and political pressure, believers in our second theater of operation are facing a completely different kind of threat.
Yeah, an immediate violent threat.
Right. We move from the social cost of identity in India to the literal cost of survival in Mali.
And the reality for Mali's 867,000 Christians is just stark. The country now ranks 15th globally on the Open Doors 2026 list.
Wow, 15th.
Yeah, and they earned a maximum violence score. Literally 16.7 out of 16.7.
Maximum violence. That's horrifying. And the weekly preview outlines this kind of two-front pressure that's just squeezing the Malian church. Right?
Yes, exactly, like a vice.
Yeah, like a vice, because from the top you have these jihadist ultimatums. There's this al-Qaeda affiliate, JNIM, and they've imposed a jizya in the Mopti region.
Right, which is An Islamic poll tax.
Yeah, and this tax, here's where it gets really interesting, or maybe just terrifying. The tax exceeds half the average income there.
Yeah.
Their choices are basically pay, convert, or die.
It's an impossible choice.
And the threat is escalating, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we saw the coordinated attacks just back on April 25th, 2026 on Bamako and Kati. But then, from the bottom of this vice, the military junta is heavily monitoring church activities and, restricting gatherings.
Right, so there's pressure from the government, too.
Yeah. So if a tax is more than 50% of an average income, that isn't a tax. That's designed to be an impossible mathematical equation. It's a vice grip. So how does a church leadership even function, let alone protect its people, when they are trapped between a terror group demanding their livelihood on one side and a government tracking their every move on the other?
What's fascinating here is that the Malian church is sustained by this just profound theology of suffering.
Wow.
Yeah. They are holding the line on the literal front lines of Islamic extremism, and they're doing it with a faith that, honestly, most Western believers will probably never have to experience.
That's deeply humbling.
It really is, which makes our informed intercession for them absolutely critical right now.
Yeah, absolutely. We have to be praying for them. Now, taking that idea of being trapped, while Mali's church is in this political and ideological vice, our third front represents a totally different scale of crisis, right?
Oh, completely. We're looking at the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Right, Eastern Congo.
Yes. And here, it's a physical and humanitarian collision. The church isn't just surviving there. They are the primary first responders.
Yeah, let me just read the dashboard of this crisis from the preview, because the numbers are staggering. There are 7 million internally displaced people.
The largest displacement on Earth right now.
Exactly, 7 million. And 26 million are facing acute hunger.
It's just a massive triple catastrophe happening in North Kivu, South Kivu, and Ituri.
3 layers of disaster.
Right. First, you have the mass displacement. Second, you have this targeted violence. At least 967 civilians have been killed by the ADF, which operates as ISCAP, just since January 2025.
Unbelievable.
And they are specifically targeting Christian villages in Lubero. And then, as if that wasn't enough, the third layer is a biological threat.
The Ebola outbreak.
Yes. The WHO declared a Bundibugyo Ebola outbreak on May 16, 2026, and it's spreading across 11 health zones.
So what does this all mean for the people on the ground? Because it feels like this impossible zone. It's like a 3-front war where the battlefield itself is actually diseased.
That is a terrifyingly accurate way to describe it.
You have armed groups blocking the roads, meaning health workers can't get in to stop an Ebola strain that, by the way, resists existing vaccines, right?
Right, highly resistant.
And the people, they can't get out. So when international aid is entirely paralyzed by violence, who is actually standing in the gap for these 7 million displaced people?
It's the Congolese church. I mean, they are the largest Christian community in sub-Saharan Africa, and they are essentially the primary humanitarian network right now.
They are doing the heavy lifting.
Completely. The pastors are carrying these impossible burdens. They're sheltering the displaced. They're feeding the hungry right in the middle of a war zone. And the weekly preview reminds us that our prayers here, they really need to be for universal mercy.
What do you mean by universal mercy?
We are praying for the displaced families, obviously, and for the health workers, but also radically for the armed fighters themselves.
Wow. Praying for the attackers.
Yes, regardless of their faith. That's the heart of Christ in the middle of this disaster.
Man. Looking at all this 58 million unreached people in India, jihadist ultimatums in Mali, and this trifold catastrophe in Congo, I think it could really cause intense information overload.
Oh, absolutely. It's overwhelming.
Yeah, it could easily lead to paralysis where you just think, I can't do anything about this. But this is where I love what the Missions Connect app does. It pivots us from the scale of the problems to a very precise daily strategy.
Right, the daily mission tracker.
Exactly. Walk us through how that actually works over the course of the week.
Well, the weekly preview structures our response so it's manageable. It's just 9 minutes of prayer a day.
No, just 9 minutes.
Yeah, 3 minutes per front. Or if you prefer, you can use the 3 to 5 minute daily audio guide. Gives you specific focal points and devotionals.
Okay, so what does Monday look like?
On Monday, the focus is India. We're praying for gospel workers to be raised up, anchored in Ezekiel 34, verse 11.
Okay, Ezekiel 34, verse 11. Got it. And Tuesday?
Tuesday shifts to Mali. We're praying for provision for those families facing the impossible jizya tax. The devotional reading is John 12, verse 24.
Man, Provision is so needed there. And then Wednesday, we move to Congo.
Yes. Wednesday, we're interceding for Congo, specifically for restored access to basic needs. The verse there is Genesis 16, verse 13.
Okay, wow. And then Thursday, we're back to India, right?
Right. Thursday is India again. We pray for that house church multiplication strategy we talked about earlier.
Working through the family networks.
Exactly. And that's tied to John 17, verse 18.
Awesome. And Friday.
Friday is back to Mali. We are asking for wisdom for the church leaders who are being heavily surveilled by the government. The reading is Psalm 82, verse 8.
Psalm 82, verse 8. Okay. And Saturday.
Saturday is Congo again. We pray for safe access for the WHO responders trying to contain the Ebola outbreak, anchored in Isaiah 9, verse 2.
And finally, Sunday.
Sunday is a global focus. We're praying for the Congolese church's amazing humanitarian witness to shine. And the verse for that is Revelation 5, verse 9.
Okay, so obviously this is a really solid biblical structure.
Yeah.
But let me ask you a grounding question, just for the listener who might be wondering. It's easy to feel really small when you're monitoring a WHO situation report or looking at millions of displaced people.
Yeah, very small.
Does spending 9 minutes a day on an app actually shift the needle on an Ebola outbreak or reach a massive demographic like the Yadav?
It's a fair question, but we have to connect back to the larger theological reality outlined in the weekly preview. Right. History consistently proves that the most spiritually neglected places frequently become the exact sites of God's most unexpected breakthroughs.
Oh, wow. That's true.
We pray because he is El Roi, the God who sees in Congo. He is the Lord of the harvest in Mali. And he is the good shepherd in India. So yes, those 9 minutes profoundly shift the needle in the spiritual realm.
That's so powerful. And I want to speak directly to you, the listener, right now. You are a prayer missionary.
Yes, you are.
You reach Bihar from your kitchen table.
Yeah.
You reach Bamako from your commute.
Yeah.
And you reach Butembo from your bedroom. That is the true shape of the mission placed in your hands.
It really is an incredible calling.
So we want you to put this knowledge into practice right now. Please go download the web-based app. You can just click the link in the description, or you can visit assistingtoobey.com.
Yes, assistingtoobey.com.
Become a missionary on your knees. Become a prayer missionary. And also, make sure to follow Assisting to Obey's social media on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube so you can stay fully engaged.
Absolutely. And as we wrap up, I want to leave you with one lingering thought for the week.
Yeah, please.
We so often think of missions purely as geography, right? Like crossing oceans to bring the gospel to a new map.
Right, packing your bags and going.
Exactly. But looking at the Yadav, at Mali, and at Congo, it's clear that modern missions is increasingly about crossing barriers, whether that's a caste system, an extremist ultimatum, or a quarantine zone.
Wow, crossing barriers.
Yeah. So as you pray this week, ask yourself, what is the barrier in your own community that requires the exact same kind of radical barrier-crossing love that the Congolese pastors are demonstrating right now?
That is a phenomenal word to end on, a real challenge for all of us. Thank you so much for exploring this with us today. Get the app, step into the gap, and we will see you next week on The Deep Dive.
So, you want a faith that actually matters, right? You want to make a difference in the world. To see the gospel changing lives. To know that your walk with God and His Word is impacting more than just your own life. Yeah, you want your life to count for the nations. But here's the thing. You're busy, maybe overwhelmed. You're pulled in 20 different directions. And even though you want to engage in missions and the Great Commission, you don't always know what to pray for. What's happening globally, or what your next step should be. The desire to obey is there, but the pathway isn't always clear. Let the Missions Connect app show you the way. Every day, you'll get a missions-focused devotional with a simple, practical action step and an option to share with the Missions Connect community. Every week, you get 3 strategic prayer focuses with fresh daily text and audio prayers. So you're never guessing about what to pray for. And when you're ready, you'll find opportunities to actually get involved in God's global work. Everything in the devotional and prayer section is free forever. But we offer you the opportunity to try the premium version for 15 days. You want to impact the nations with the gospel. With Missions Connect, now you can. Missions Connect, helping you bless the nations through prayer, knowledge, and obedience. A ministry of assisting to obey.com.